Hello YouTube, this is DrawingKit1313 and welcome to part 2 on my spotlight for IndustrialCraft 2. Now if you watched part 1, that was pretty much just covering all the basics of IndustrialCraft 2. Most of the components that are used in a lot of the crafting recipes in the mod. So this part of the spotlight is going to be all about energy. How to generate it, how to transport it, and how to store it, and maybe a little bit of how to use it. So, obviously, IndustrialCraft 2 involves a lot of stuff relating to energy, since, it uses machines and, all that stuff. So, energy is quite a large part of IndustrialCraft 2, and you need to know how to generate it and, the different ways to store it and transport it if you're going to get anywhere with the mod. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at how to generate energy. So right here I have myself a generator. A generator is probably the first thing that you're going to find yourselves crafting in order to generate some power to power your machines. So a generator, the crafting recipe is like so: a furnace, machine block, and a RE battery. You guys learned how to craft an RE battery in the basics part of the spotlight, and a machine block is just crafted with that refined iron that I showed you guys, and that's in a box like that, and that gets you the machine block. Put all those together and you get a generator. If we go ahead and put it down in the world, it looks pretty cool. It kind of looks like a furnace in a way. And it kind of works like a furnace too. If I give myself some coal and I put it in here, it's going to burn the coal and you'll see this little bar filling up. Pretty cool. Now this is generating energy, and in IndustrialCraft 2 the way that energy is measured is in EU. EU stands for energy units, and it's pretty much the IndustrialCraft equivalent of like the real world volts and wattage and whatnot. So yeah, now each thing that is used to generate power in IndustrialCraft 2 generates a different amount of power each tick. Ticks in Minecraft I believe are the same as in IndustrialCraft 2. There's like 5 ticks in a second, and basically when you look up something on the wiki of IndustrialCraft 2, it'll tell you how many energy units per tick that certain thing generates. The generator right here happens to generate 10 energy units per tick for a total of 50 energy units per second. That was not me taking a break to go calculate on my calculator how many that is. That was me being interrupted. I apologize. But anyways, that's kind of how you measure the efficiency of a machine in terms of energy generation. So now we've had a look at the generator. It's kind of inefficient. It uses a lot of coal, and as you're using it to power your machines, you're going to find that you run out of coal fairly quickly unless you have some other means of obtaining it. You could also use charcoal, wood, or any other thing that you can burn in a furnace. Even some mod items like equivalent exchange, you can use the different types of fuel in there as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and look at some other means of getting energy. So right here I have myself the geothermal generator. The crafting recipe, if we look it up right here, is 2 empty cells, 4 pieces of glass, some refined iron, and a generator. A generator, you're going to notice it being used as part of the crafting recipe of the more advanced types of power generation. So it's a pretty basic one. Empty cells are crafted like so, with 4 tin ingots in an arrangement like that, and that gets you 16 of them. Now geothermal, if we go ahead and place it down in our world right here, you'll notice that it has a setup similar to the generator. This is kind of the input. This is where you can charge your items. In IndustrialCraft 2 they have a lot of items that have to be charged, such as this diamond drill right here, and you can just place it in here while you have running, and it'll go ahead and charge it up for you. And then you also have the little internal storage for EU. Now the way a geothermal generator works is it uses lava. Lava can either be in the form of a lava bucket, put it in there, and as you can see it uses the lava, but it gives you back the bucket. Now if you were to use a lava bucket in here, actually let me go ahead and get myself a new one of these. If you were to use a lava bucket in here, it doesn't do anything. So yeah, that's good to know. Now geothermal generator will use the lava bucket, and it'll fill up little internal capacity for lava. You can see that it starts storing it right here once it uses all the lava it can to generate power. This little internal buffer inside it will store 480,000 EU, I believe, and the output of it, you get 20,000 energy units per bucket of lava, and it outputs at a rate of 20 energy units per tick, which is quite a bit, actually double that of a generator. Now, lava buckets are cool, however they don't stack, so it's a little bit of a pain, right? And you don't really want to be putting lava bucket after lava bucket after lava bucket in here. It would get pretty old after a while, actually. And this little internal thing right here can store up to 24 buckets of lava. So what you can use is you can use empty cells to get lava cells. Just simply, let me turn into creative mode here. Just simply right click with an empty cell on a lava source, like so. I have an empty cell right here, and I'm going to right click on here, and it'll give you a lava cell. These lava cells, you can put them in, notice how they stack, which is a lot more convenient. You can put them in here and it will use as many lava cells, 24 to be exact, to fill up the internal storage of lava, but then you can also keep the lava cells here and it'll use them as it needs. Now, while this is a little bit more convenient than lava buckets, it does use up the lava cells, so you will go through quite a bit of tin after a while, but I think it's worth it because you don't have to maintain it as much. So that's definitely a viable energy source if you are in the nether. You have pretty much unlimited you know, lava right there, so you can go to the nether, get yourself a few stacks of empty cells, bring them back to the overworld, and do that. Now if you are familiar with BuildCraft, you can go ahead and hook up a BuildCraft pump to pump lava out and put it into here. You can put it directly into this machine and it'll use the lava as it needs. So that's definitely very cool and another way of obtaining energy. Let's go ahead and look at other ways. So with the generator and the geothermal generator, we are using resources in order to generate power, and that can be pretty wasteful after a while, and you're going to find yourself needing some other way of obtaining energy without using the resources around you, or else you're going to run out of either coal or lava fairly quickly. So let's go ahead and try a solar panel, a more green solution for your energy needs. The crafting recipe is a generator, 2 electronic circuits, I showed you how to craft those in the previous spotlight part, 3 pieces of glass, and this stuff called coal dust. Coal dust is obtained by putting coal into a macerator, which will grind it up and turn it into coal dust. There are a few other uses for this macerator, but I'm going to get to that in another part where I'll be showing you all the machines that are able to be used in IndustrialCraft 2. So, solar panels generate 1 energy unit per tick. However, it is free. It is completely free. It uses the sun. Now, of course, if it were nighttime and we go into it, we'll notice that the sun will soon disappear. There we go, it disappeared, so it's no longer generating electricity, so you have to make sure to keep it daytime if you want to generate or rely on solar power. So that's pretty cool. Like I said, outputs at 1 energy unit per tick, which is fairly small. However, if you put this into a solar array, which I might show you one of those later in this part of the spotlight, you can generate a good amount of solar power. So solar power is pretty cool, but there's also another way: water mills. Place it down right here, and it has an inventory similar to those two. The top slot is used for charging whatever you want. The bottom slot can either accept water buckets or water cells. Water cells are obtained the same way that lava cells are obtained by right-clicking with an empty cell in your hand on a water source, getting you water cells. You can go ahead and put those in there, and again, they stack, so it's a lot more convenient, and it'll fill up the little internal capacity for water. Now, as this is used, this outputs at 2 energy units per tick. So you can have just one of them, but you can also have a few of them hooked up to a thing, and you can have some pretty good power generation going on here. Now this water mill actually works two ways, either manually by placing water cells on it, or you can make an arrangement such as, you can make an arrangement called a water mill. That was confusing, but you can make an arrangement of these and they actually generate power for each surrounding block of water. Let me go ahead and off camera I'll build one of these for you so you can see exactly what it is. So here's a very simple stackable water mill generation. You can go ahead and stack these up. Go like that. Now you notice that if you right click on one of these it'll open up the interface, but if you shift right click it'll go ahead and place it on there and ignore opening the inventory. So again, you can stack this as high as you want and you can get some pretty good energy generation, just simply from having it around water. And of course in this middle part right here, in this middle part right here you would have your cables or whatever you want to transport the energy. By the way, the crafting recipe for a water mill is one generator surrounded by wooden planks and sticks, and this gets you 2 water mills for each generator, so it's a fairly cheap crafting recipe because it's not as efficient in generating power. Of course, it would be pretty convenient if you had an underwater house and you wanted to go ahead and use this. Go ahead, by all means. So again, you would stack this system up and it generates power. For each block of surrounding water, the water mill will generate 0.01 energy units per tick. And so since this is technically surrounded by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sources of water, this one right here, that means that it's going to output 0.5, 0.05 energy units per tick, something like that. Whatever it is, it's not a lot, so yeah, you can go ahead and find that out on your own though. So far we have the generator, the geothermal generator, the solar panel, and the water mill. There is another type of kind of a greener way of producing energy, and this is a windmill. Windmills are probably the most unreliable and unpredictable generation of energy. The efficiency of the windmill varies greatly depending on your height in the world and also any blocks that may interfere with it. Now you may be asking yourself, interfere with it? Well, what's that? Well, when you have a windmill, it has a certain area around it that dictates what blocks are interfering with it. This includes a 9 by 9, so 9 horizontally, 9 widthwise, and then by 7, so 7 height-wise, 2 below it, and 5 above it, I think. And by 5 I mean 4. And that will dictate how efficient it is. Now if it has no obstructions, it's pretty much as good as it can be. However, you have no way of transporting the power, so you're going to need at least 2 obstructions, 2 below it, in order to transport the power that it brings. Now since I am at bedrock level right here, it is actually generating less than 1 energy unit per tick because it is very, very low, and its efficiency increases as the height increases. So if you were to fly all the way up to the max height of the world, you would be pretty well off with the windmill. However, it can generate anything from 0 to 4 energy units per tick, I believe it is. But it can even generate more than 4. If it generates anywhere from 5 and above energy units per tick, it has a chance of breaking, which again, that's what makes it unreliable. So a very complicated way to generate power right here, but definitely an option, especially if you're in like a mountains biome. And I forgot to show you guys the recipe again. There it is, just a simple generator surrounded by some iron ingots gets you 1 windmill. So pretty cool. Now so far we have the generator, the geothermal generator, the solar panel, the water mill, and the windmill. There's one other way to generate power in IndustrialCraft 2, and this is with a nuclear reactor. Nuclear reactors are very complicated, in fact so complicated I'm going to dedicate a whole nother part of this spotlight to nuclear reactors. So I'm not going to cover this in this part, but if you stay tuned and eventually I will have that part up. So now that you know how to generate power, and most of these, and by most I mean these two right here, have kind of an internal storage of power. However, you don't want to just use that, and you can put your machines directly next to these when they're generating power, and the machine will go ahead and use that power that is generated by whatever. You can see it charging up right here because it's right next to the watermill. Same thing if you were to put it near a solar panel, geothermal generator, or even a windmill. So, that's cool and all. However, what if you want to transport, like you want to have a whole bunch of generators leading to one machine or a group of machines? Well, this is where wiring will come into play. There are a few ways of transporting your energy in the IndustrialCraft 2 mod, and they're kind of in tiers. The lowest tier will be right here, copper cabling. So copper cabling is the most basic way to transport your EU in IndustrialCraft 2. Now, it's very good. It's used in a lot of crafting recipes, and it's good for, transporting just regular energy from like a generator, geothermal generator, or uh, uh, a windmill that is generating a lot of power. Now, of course, you're going to want to be careful with how many or how far away you put your energy generation from where you're going to use it or store it, because copper cabling has a little bit of a energy loss. To be exact, when it is insulated with rubber, it loses 1 energy unit for every 5 blocks of cabling. So let's say that if you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you had your machine right here, it would not be generating, or it actually would be generating 10 energy units per tick. However, only 9 energy units per tick would be going to your thing right there. So that's something that you want to keep in mind whenever you're using copper cabling. Now, copper cabling is good for, basic energy transportation. However, if you're using a solar panel or a watermill or something that generates a very small amount of electricity, you're going to want to use something a little bit more efficient. This would be ultra low current cabling. Now, ultra low current cabling is very cheap. It only uses tin. The crafting recipe is like so, just 3 pieces of tin in a row like that. And this will, it can only transmit or transport 5 energy units per packet. Now you may be asking now, well, what the heck is a packet? Packet is what energy is transmitted as in IndustrialCraft 2. It's kind of difficult to explain because I don't really understand it all, but basically each packet will carry a certain amount of energy units depending on um, whatever you have generating it and whatever you have, I don't know, transporting it or emitting it. Now solar panels, they will output at 1 energy unit per tick, and I believe per tick is kind of the same as per packet, even though do not quote me on that. So like I said, this can hold 5 energy units per packet, and it's very good for transporting energy from solar panels or water mills, because this one only generates 2 energy units per tick, this one only 1. And even a windmill if it is not running at maximum efficiency. Now the energy loss is a lot better than that of a copper cable. It actually only loses 1 energy unit for every 40 blocks that it travels, so you can have them traveling very far and you won't lose anything. So now that's pretty cool if you're just transporting very small amount of energy. However, what if you want to generate or transport more energy? I don't know, like in IndustrialCraft 2, there are certain types of voltage. Now, voltage you may be familiar with if you've ever used a light bulb or if you've ever looked at it. Now, light bulbs, the way that it's measured and the kind of the intensity of it can be looked at as wattage. If you have a 60-watt light bulb and you try to put it into a lamp that only can handle 30 watts, you're going to have some problems either with the light bulb blowing out or stuff burning or melting. The same kind of goes with IndustrialCraft 2. If you have too high of voltage and you try to transport it using very inefficient means of transportation, you're going to have some problems either with the cabling melting or with too much energy loss. So again, like I said, the copper cabling, they can handle up to low voltage. Low voltage is classified as 32 energy units per tick, and you guys will see probably exactly what I'm talking about later on in the spotlight when I get to storage of energy units. Now, copper cabling is pretty cool, but there's one up from that would be gold cabling. Gold cabling, seen right here, is crafted with just 3 gold ingots, getting you 12 gold cables, and it can actually be insulated twice. Um, Now, to insulate it once, you're going to need 4 pieces of rubber. Sorry. To insulate it once, you're going to need 1 piece of rubber and 1 piece of gold cabling. Or as you saw in this recipe, you use 1 gold ingot surrounded by 4 pieces of rubber, and this gets you 4 insulated gold cabling. You can bring this up more by insulating it 2 times by either putting 1 piece of rubber next to an insulated gold cabling, or 2 pieces of rubber next to gold cabling. So that is, um, a way. And the more you insulate it, the less you will be harmed, and the less energy loss that you will, the less energy lossage, is that a word? You will encounter. Now to be exact, when it's uninsulated, it will lose 1 energy unit for every 2 blocks. And that is actually quite a bit, and you don't really want to use that. Now if it's insulated once, it will only lose 1 energy unit for every 2 blocks, and if it's insulated 2 times, it'll lose 1 energy unit for every 2.5 blocks. So, it definitely does lose a lot more energy, but it can handle up to medium voltage energy, I believe. So definitely something if you're generating a lot more power than just one generator or one geothermal generator. Maybe nuclear reactors or something like that. Now what if you want to transport a crap load of power? Now this is when you would use high voltage cables or HV cabling. This is crafted with refined iron. You can see just 3 refined iron in a row like this will get you 12 high voltage cabling, and this can be insulated up to 4 times. So you can have a lot of insulation on this. You can see the different crafting recipes. Just 1 rubber, get this by insulating the insulated, getting you 2x, and insulating the 2x insulated will get you 4x. I don't know how that works. It jumps up from 2 to 4, but whatever. Um, so now, high voltage cabling can tolerate high voltage, which is 512 energy units per tick, and also it can tolerate extreme voltage, which is 2048 energy units per second, not tick, sorry. Um, so another reason why you may want to insulate it is because when you have energy flowing through it, particularly the higher energy, you can actually be harmed when you step into its path. Same goes with gold cabling if you don't insulate it enough. While energy is flowing through it, if you step close to it, with high voltage cabling, it can actually kill you if you're not careful. Now, while high voltage cabling can handle a lot more energy per second, it has slightly more energy loss, which is not all that good. When it's uninsulated, it will lose 1 energy unit for every block. If it's insulated 1 time, it'll lose 1 energy unit for every 1.05 blocks. If it's insulated twice, it will lose 1 energy unit for every 1.11 blocks, and if it's insulated to the max, it will lose 1 energy unit for every 1.25 blocks. So again, not only does insulating it protect you from the voltage traveling through it, but it'll also keep the energy loss down a little bit as much as it can. Now here we get to the probably the most efficient way of transporting power, and this is with glass fiber cabling. They're a little bit expensive because it uses diamonds. Just 1 diamond, 2 pieces of redstone, and some glass will get you 4 of them. Now glass fiber cabling, again, like I said, the most efficient ways of transporting your energy, and they lose very they have about the same energy loss as ultra-low current cabling, 1 energy unit for every 40 blocks. However, it can handle up to high voltage. What is it? It can handle up to high voltage, voltage being again 512 energy units per tick. So definitely a very efficient way of transporting your power. There are two other cables that you will find in IndustrialCraft 2. This is an EU detector cable and an EU splitter cable. Um, Now the EU detector cable is pretty simple in that it will emit a redstone signal when it detects that energy is flowing through it. So you can go ahead and get whatever you want. I don't know, it could be high voltage, and it'll connect to it, or you can get glass fiber or any type of cabling. And when it detects that energy is flowing through it, it will actually emit a redstone signal, in which case you can use it to like hook it up to a light or any other thing that you may want to do. The other one is an EU splitter cable, and this is a cable that can prevent energy from flowing through it when a redstone signal is applied to it. So let's say that you had a few ways that the energy can go, but you only wanted to go one way for now, so you would use a lever or something like that. They can't be placed on it, but they can be placed next to it, and when a redstone signal is applied to it, it'll go ahead and it'll go ahead and stop the energy from flowing through it. So very cool. Now that you guys know how to manipulate and transport your energy as well as generate it, let's go ahead and look into some storage. Now storage is pretty simple. There are three different ways that you can store it in a block form. And these three different ways are Batbox and not scaffolding. A Batbox, MFE, and MFSU. I'm going to place them down in the world right here. And you can see Batbox, MFE, MFSU. These are in order to how much energy they store and what energy they output at. Take a look at the Batbox and you can see that there's a power level, and it can hold up to 40,000 energy units, which seems like a lot right now, but as you move further on into the game and you need more power or have more power generation, you're going to want a little bit more storage. This is when the MFE will come into play, and you can now hold 600,000 energy units. Let me go ahead and really quickly just show you the crafting recipes for each of these. A Batbox, just wooden planks, RE battery, more wooden planks, and copper cabling. The MFE is crafted with the machine block, 4 energy crystals, and copper cabling. Energy crystals are crafted with diamond surrounded by redstone. And then MFSU is crafted with an MFE, an advanced machine block, an advanced circuit, and a Lapotron crystal. You can see that it's very complicated, but there's a reason why it's complicated, because it holds 10 million energy units per tick. Or sorry, 10 million energy units. Now you may be asking, well, what's this advanced circuit? Well, an advanced circuit is basically upgrading your previous electronic circuit with lapis, redstone, and glowstone. An advanced machine block is crafted with machine block, advanced alloys, and carbon plating. Carbon plating is crafted with raw carbon mesh, putting it into a compressor. Raw carbon mesh is crafted with raw carbon fiber. Raw carbon fiber is crafted with coal dust, and coal dust again obtained by putting coal into a macerator. Now another component to the advanced machine block is an advanced alloy, and that is obtained by putting mixed metal ingots into a compressor. Mixed metal ingots are obtained by putting refined iron with some bronze and some tin ingots. Bronze is obtained by putting different dusts. Oh no. Bronze is obtained by putting different dusts into the there you go. Bronze dust is crafted with copper dust and tin dust, getting you 2 bronze dust, and then bronze dust can be smelted into bronze. And then finally the Lapotron crystals, they're crafted by upgrading your energy crystals by putting 2 electronic circuits and some lapis. So another component to these is the output. The Batbox outputs at 32 energy units per tick, which is low voltage. The MFE outputs at 128 energy units per tick, and the MFSU outputs at 512 energy units per tick, or high voltage. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, why is voltage important? Well, most machines can only accept low voltage, such as, an extractor or a macerator, or electric furnace, or a compressor, or some of the most basic things. There are only a few blocks that can actually handle high voltage or medium voltage, such as the more advanced things, such like the induction furnace, or the mass fabricator, or the terraformer. So you may be wondering, well, if I want to store all my energy in an MFSU, how am I going to use it from an MFSU and transport it into usable energy for machines? Well, this is where transformers will come into play. There are 3 of them: low voltage transformer, medium voltage transformer, and high voltage transformer. A low voltage transformer will transform medium voltage into low voltage. A medium voltage transformer will transform high voltage into medium voltage, and a high voltage transformer will transform extremely high voltage into high voltage. So the crafting recipe for this low voltage transformer, just some copper ingots, copper cabling. Crafting recipe for a medium voltage is just a machine block, copper cabling. And a crafting recipe for a high voltage thing, again upgrading your medium voltage, just using an energy crystal, electronic circuit, and some copper cabling. Now when you place these down into the world, you'll notice that there are a few different sides. One has 3 dots, and then the rest, or the other 5 of them, have 1 dot. This is where the higher voltage will be put into, and then the output will be the lower voltage. Or you can also do the reverse, transform low voltage into medium voltage if you want. So there you go. Same goes with the medium voltage and the high voltage transformer. So yeah. And again, you notice that there's 1 dot on each side. This is the output of this thing. So this is where you're going to want to draw energy out, and then the other 5 sides are where you put energy into. Now remember how I said the bat box, the MFE, and the MFSU are all block ways of storing energy? Well, you can also use that using certain items. Specifically the RE battery, the energy crystal, and the Lapitron crystal. You might remember the energy crystal from the crafting recipe of the MFE, and you might remember the Lapitron crystal with the crafting recipe of the MFSU. Again, the crafting recipe of an RE battery, tin ingot, redstone, copper cabling. Crafting recipe for energy crystal, redstone surrounding a diamond, and then Lapitron crystal, you already saw that. Now, a RE battery will hold up to 10,000 energy units. A Lapitron crystal will hold up to 1 million energy units, I believe. And yet, sorry, 100,000 energy units per tick. Or sorry, let me start over there. A energy crystal will be able to store 100,000 energy units, and a Lapitron crystal will be able to store a little bit more than the energy crystal, and it can store 1 million energy units. So there you go. There's other ways of storing energy. You can go ahead and transport these into, you can fill them up with 1 bat box, or if you have energy in here, you can fill it up with an energy crystal, or sorry, yeah, you can go ahead and fill up an RE battery, transport it, use it for other things. But yeah. So this about wraps it up for this part of my spotlight. I know that this was a very long part, but however, there is a lot to energy in Industrial Craft 2, so I wanted to make sure that I covered everything, or almost everything, for you guys. That way there's not too much confusion, and you guys just know how in-depth Industrial Craft 2 is with all its energy and whatnot. So this has been wow, I'm even like slurring my words. I've just been talking so much. This has been DrawingKit1313 with part 2 of my spotlight, the energy portion of our spotlight on Industrial Craft 2. I deeply apologize if I kind of said anything, if there's any verbal flubs, or if I even missed anything. If I did make a mistake, go ahead and kindly tell me in the comment section of this video, and I'll go ahead and add it to the description or whatever need be. So again, this has been DrawingKit1313. I hope that you have enjoyed this, and I hope you join me next time, because next time we are going to be covering the machines that are involved in Industrial Craft 2, so you're definitely going to want to stay tuned for that, because that is, other than energy, probably the biggest part of this. So again, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all later.